And here is another relatively modern example. As you can see, white player is the first chess world champion, Wilhelm, two different pronunciations, I guess. And he played against von Bardeleben, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. The game happened in 1895, so the first chess official world champion is playing against a player from Germany. Again, castle was an issue. And the reason was black was not in time to do it for very subtle reasons. See if you can spot it. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, good opening. Bishop to c4, Italian. Bishop to c5, good move. c3, knight f6, and d4. So why did white play c3 here? Since it is white has extra tempo, white can afford to do that, to play a move that doesn't help development yet, but white can grab the center in his hands if black is not being careful. Knight f6, d4. The center now belongs to white. What should black do? Black shouldn't say, oh, okay, I resign, I don't have a center, I'm gonna keep it simple. No, you should be very sharp and precise. E takes d is the correct move. C takes d, bishop b4 correct move. You do not waste time on moving the bishop elsewhere. It comes with a check, knight c3, and now the only way for black to keep the game together was to take the central pawn and use this pin. There are many games played. This is very rich position, but modern analysis proved that black is doing quite fine in this line. Black takes the pawn, puts the knight in the center, and black is okay. Instead, his opponent played d5, which is another reasonable move. You put the pawn in the center with a tempo, you open the diagonal for the bishop, right? And since this knight is pinned, there are two attackers and two defenders, so mathematically black is doing all right. E takes d5, knight takes d5, and castle. White is the first one to castle, and now the knight on d5 is hanging. What do? Well, you can say, well, if you're in very big urgency, you would say, I'm taking this knight, pawn takes, and I'm castling. Whew, my king is safe. The problem, however, is white gets two bishops in an open position, and white gets the pawn in the center, another one to come in the nearest future. Black is in trouble here. So instead, black tries to develop the bishop and hold this powerful knight on d5, and then say, one more move, I just need one more move and I'm gonna castle. Wilhelm says, no, I'm developing my bishop with a tempo, deal with it right now. That's a great move, bishop g5. White could have played bishop e3 and say, oh, I developed my bishop. No, that's not a good place for a bishop. It's a passive bishop. It is supporting the pawn, but it is not attacking anything. Bishop g5 comes with a tempo. This is what you should be doing when you're ahead in development. You should try to develop pieces with a tempo. Because you develop a piece and your opponent has to deal with this threat. He cannot say, oh, I'm gonna castle. No, you can't. The queen is hanging. If you don't want to lose time, you have to go f6, but then it's horrible for the e-file. This bishop would be in huge trouble after, for example, rook e1. So black moves the queen or moves the bishop back. Black has to waste the tempo and you develop the bishop for free. So white continues. No hesitation, no wasting time. Oh, my bishop is hanging. White takes the knight on d5. Black recaptures. White takes the bishop on d5. Queen takes on d5. White takes on e7 and knight takes on e7. It seems that white simplified too much. White exchanged all the minor pieces. Black is about to castle. White has an isolated pawn. Why did world champion do it? Because he has moved rook e1, after which it is almost impossible for black to castle. This knight is pinned. This knight is pinned. You cannot castle. I'm gonna take your knight. You can try to protect the knight. If you try, let's say, queen d6, an example. I have a variety of moves, like queen b3 is good. But I can go queen e2 and I'm saying, I'm doubling my pin. You will never castle. I'm gonna take, and black's king is now stuck in the center forever because of this deadly pin. One tempo. Any other move, like white wastes a tempo and says, oh, h3 looks like a useful move. Bingo, black castles, and I already prefer black a little bit because, well, the queen on d5 is nicely placed and that's an isolated weak pawn. But white goes rook e1, pinning the knight, and black goes f6, which is a, well, I wouldn't say that black did it with an, oh, I love this move. No, black has to, oh my god, I need to do something. What can I do? What can I possibly do? How can I possibly castle? Black can go king f7 and then freeze the rook and then maybe run to the corner. That's how hard it is now for black. f6. Here, the game continued with queen to e2, attacking the knight, threatening mate, and queen went back to d7. And now Wilhelm developed the rook to an open file. That's a great move. Modern engines say it was not very accurate because black should have played king f7 here, and now surprisingly white does not have a good follow-up. King on f7 is really, really uncommon and unusual, I would say. This is an exception to the rule. Usually move f6 is horrible. King on f7 is desperate for defense, but there's no bishop on this diagonal. If check happens, it may look scary. Oh my god, check, and c7 is hanging. Knight comes to d5, that's an amazing knight. It covered the king, protected the pawn. Next move is rook e8, and black is fine here. Actually, white's knight is saying, hold on, I want to participate, but it cannot participate because this pawn is restricting it. So, the strongest move in this position, it is very surprising and unusual, I must say, is rook to d1, although rook to d1 looks quite natural because you put the rook in the center to support your pawn and maybe to push it. The deeper idea is that now king f7 is not possible because white gives a check on c4, the king cannot leave, so knight goes to d5, just like in previous variations. So what is the difference? Why on earth would white want a rook on d1 where it's stuck with its own pawn? Here's the reason. Knight to e5 check, pawn takes e5, d takes e5, and there's the double threat. This knight is twice attacked, and if black spends a move on c6, white goes e6 with a fork, winning the game. And otherwise the knight is lost, white wins material. That is why rook a to d1 was a stronger move. Black cannot go king f7, and next move is d5. White has huge advantage now. Rook c1, and black played c6. Black played this move automatically. The pawn is hanging, I want to support everything, and now world champion crushes it with black. Crushes black with white. So all the pieces are ready for action, but what do you do? What can you do? It seems black is solid. Black is not solid. Black did not develop the rooks. The only reason why black didn't do it is because black did not castle. It's time for action. One more move and black would go king f7, fix all the problems. Right now is the time. No hesitation, no h3 moves, nothing like that. It's only now d5 hitting the center. All pieces are ready for action for white, and half of the pieces in black's camp is ready for action. So black takes that pawn, and now knight joins the attack. Now all of white's pieces are in the game. Knight is ready to jump to e6. The king is not gonna castle. King goes to f7. Please let me castle at least manually. Knight comes to e6 inside black's position. Now rook wants to go to c7. So black tries rook h to c8. White continues the attack with queen g4 with the threat of take and mate on next move. So black's pawn is hanging. So black tries to protect it. So basically black is on the ropes, covering the, please not in my face, like this, like there's punch from d5, punch from here, punch from here. Black cannot hold it together. Knight back to g5, great check, queen is hanging. The only move for black is to save the king and the queen, is king to e8, and now the punchline. The punchline goes, rook takes e7. That's a very surprising and great combination from the first world champion. Rook to e7, what is going on? If black takes with the queen, what's gonna happen? Well, rook on c8 is now under attack, takes, and queen takes, we distracted the queen, white is winning. If king takes, seems like keeping everything together, but the king, since the king didn't castle, it's very vulnerable. White continues, for example, with rook e1 check. King has to go and guard the queen. If king chooses to go to d8, knight jump comes back to e6 with a tempo. King cannot escape, king has to come back, and now discovered check with the knight would decide the game. For example, knight takes c5. Brilliant discovered check. The queen is lost. Black should resign. If black tries to go forward, which looks a little bit more promising, white is winning after queen b4 check. And if black runs with the king, white continues with knight e6. Black runs into the corner, that's not castle. Queen f4 check, rook c7 only move, knight takes c7, queen takes c7, and rook e8 checkmate. And if black chooses to go rook to c5, pinning himself, the least white can do is to give rook e6 check. And if king moves, we take the rook. If queen takes, we take, and we use the pin to win the game. King takes, queen takes, white is winning. This rook is luckily pinned, otherwise rook c1 would be a mate. So that's what could have happened after rook e7, but his opponent find a sophisticated way to continue the fight with king to f8. That looks ridiculous. What kind of move is king f8? The queen is hanging, white is piece up, what's going on? The only thing that is going on, white is having a back rank problem. Back rank problem can beat all the other problems. White cannot take the queen because mate is coming. So white has to be very careful. For example, if white takes the rook, black recaptures with the rook, mate is coming nevertheless, and the queen is hanging, and the rook is hanging. That's not good. So Wilhelm continues with rook f7 check, saying, yeah, here's another check for you. So if black tries to take it, again the queen is distracted, and we can take the rook and win the game. So king goes to g8, white says, let's continue the journey. Where would you go? Rook g7 check. So black went king h8. If black chooses king takes g7, I take the queen with a check. That's the beauty of it. If king comes back to f8, there are many wins, but for example, knight h7 check is the nice one. Knight h7, king has to take, and we take the queen and win. So black went to h8, and white says, yeah, I'm gonna keep taking. And black says, yeah, but I'm gonna come back. Ha, but there's a big difference now. Rook g7, you cannot come back to h8, right? If king comes back to h8, the h file is open, and white can win, for example, with queen h4 check, king takes, queen h7 check, king goes. You still cannot take the queen for the record, because back rank has not been solved, but queen h8, king e7, white keeps checking and pushing king to the deadly cage, which is king e8, queen g8, forcing the king to go to d8, queen f8, or king d6. That would be even faster mate. Only move is queen e6, literally mate. King d8, queen f8, queen e8, knight f7, king d7, and queen d6. Brilliant combination, anticipated by former world champion. With rook g7, black went king f8, and now white concluded the game with knight h7, king takes, and queen takes d7. Brilliant defeat. Every tempo was priceless for white. Every tempo black did that. Black just needed one move to castle. Where did black go wrong? It's not so easy to spot. Apparently knight takes e4 was the last moment where black could have, well, black is not lost, black is just in huge trouble in all the other lines. Moves were logical, but since white is one tempo up, black lost this brilliant game. I hope you enjoyed this one. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.